The True History of Romania, from 1989 to 2025. Greetings, my dear patriots. Today we are talking about the true history of Romania from 1989 to the present day, the year 2025, so a period of over 35 years, and about the vision of a possible future for Romania. It is known that the overthrow of the Ceausescu government in December 1989, which had begun with some student riots, actually became a coup d'état planned by the secret services. After they took power in a Bolshevik style and the arrest of President Nicolae Ceausescu, together with his wife Elena Ceausescu, the two were subjected to a very quick trial. A provisional military tribunal expressly accused and sentenced Ceausescu and his wife to death. The sentence was carried out immediately, on the very first day of Christmas, on December 25, 1989. For a Christian Orthodox country like Romania, this execution carried out defiantly on a holiday hit the heart and spirit of the Romanian nation hard. In the period that followed, there were no opposition parties in Romania and all the civil servants, officers, judges and secret services remained the same. In order to create the appearance of a national consensus, the character Ion Iliescu quickly formed a pseudo-parliament. And so, Romania was once again the only country in Europe that, instead of evolving, had the death penalty again and was once again governed by a single obscure party, all staged through the theater of so-called free elections. For most of the 1990s, Romania struggled with hyperinflation, widespread unemployment, and the daunting task of transforming from a centrally planned economy to a free market one. Regarding the current political situation, are you also angry about the destructive politics in Romania? The richest country in Europe reached the lowest level in its millennial history in 2025. The Romanian people suffer from extreme poverty and are oppressed by the government that has given away almost all of Romania's resources for free, receiving in return bribes of many billions of euros and dollars in private offshore accounts. But after this, the corrupt government in Romania did not stop. It continues to go into debt, taking out more and more loans, with very high interest rates. However, inflation and taxes are increasing, salaries and pensions are decreasing, and food, water and air are being deliberately poisoned. In addition, freedom of expression is disappearing in Romania, with many people being arrested for their criticism of the corrupt government. With the money taken out on loans, politicians and judges pay themselves enormous salaries, the highest in Europe and the USA, as well as the so-called additional special pensions, extraordinarily high for all employees of the Romanian state, especially in the judiciary. In addition, they also pay themselves enormous sums through phantom contracts concluded with companies belonging to their relatives or friends. At the same time, they buy or simply confiscate through the corrupt judiciary houses and land that do not belong to them. That is, they do absolutely everything they want, ignoring all the laws that they themselves imposed. This is Romania right now, a real dictatorship in the wonderful Europe, which itself is just a facade of democracy. The catastrophe is caused by the secret services and traitorous and corrupt politicians, who do not care about the Romanian people. Additional information: Romania has not had a Romanian president since December 1989 until today, the year 2025. More than that, in the first year after the coup, after George Soros' very early visit to Romania in 1990, the newly formed government led by Ion Iliescu secretly proposed and approved Law 28 March 15, 1991, a law that practically reduces Romania to the status of a commercial company. Romania has never been a free country, and what Romania's enemies have done this time absolutely exceeds any limit. Romania, an attempt at change towards Europe. In the early 2000s, Romania was beginning to stabilize politically, but without much success. The government met the requirements for NATO membership in 2004. This was a very costly process for Romania, although ostensibly Romania was now part of a military alliance through which it had strengthened its security and raised its profile on the global stage. Romania officially joined the European Union in 2007, which could have been a huge leap forward. But Romania was the country that refused most of the non-reimbursable European funds, in order not to be accountable to the European Union and so that politicians from Romania, but not Romanians, who have never been patriots, could continue to steal unhindered. Romania, the battle against corruption. And here we hit the major obstacle: corruption. Corruption in Romania is a deeply rooted problem, with high-level scandals becoming the hallmark of Romania's political culture. In the last decade, Romania has nevertheless attempted to combat corruption through the DNA, National Anti-Corruption Directorate, and has even begun to see some convictions of top political leaders and business magnates. But these have not changed the system, especially since not all convictions have been followed by the complete confiscation of the private assets of all the corrupt. After 35 years, Romania, the most resource-rich and fertile country in Europe, has become completely poor due to extreme corruption. The population has less and less money for living expenses, due to the behavior of politicians who only pursue their own interests. More and more people in Romania can no longer even afford to pay their monthly rent and food, so they have to choose month by month whether they can afford to have a home or eat. Another big problem is that absolutely all Romanian governments after 1989 have installed extraordinarily bad health services, because they had no interest in the Romanian population being healthy. As a result of increasingly poor health care and stagnant wages coupled with rising inflation, many Romanians have been forced to leave their families to work in other countries or to emigrate completely with their families. Romania is the country from which most citizens leave out of necessity. Romania has a population of 18.5 million inhabitants and the most useless politicians compared to the number of inhabitants. It is estimated that there are 3 million civil servants in the whole country, but that another 3 million other people profit through corruption from fictitious deals with the Romanian state. Romania is the only country where all mayors can set their own salary as much as they want. All politicians in Romania have seriously damaged the country's economy through shell companies, which sign pseudo-contracts with their own government. In addition, throughout these 35 years, politicians, secret services, justice, police, army, tax authorities, mayors, doctors and civil servants have been happy to be bribed or blackmailed, thus giving away all the country's resources almost for free through very disadvantageous agreements for Romania. This is the result of the worst cause: there are no patriots in the Romanian government. Normally, politicians are well-educated people who do good politics and economy for their country. They are not active, as in the case of Romania, against their own country. This means that politicians have no connection with Romania or hate the native Dacian Romanian population. But why? Unfortunately, Romania, former Dacia, which is the source of all European peoples and culture, throughout its history has always been envied by foreigners, but has also suffered from corruption and betrayal at the highest level. In addition, education is at a very low level, because the government, which has practically been in power for over 35 years, does not want the Romanian people to be educated. On the contrary, the teaching of the history of another people in schools and universities, not that of the Daco-Romanian people of Romania, was imposed by a law approved in secret, without the population of Romania being informed. And because it seems that democracy is no longer valid, we also inform ourselves about the politicians in Romania using all official sources. In particular, how many of them are truly of Romanian origin and where they come from. Romania, what is the consequence of extreme corruption? Romania has the largest and purest water sources and the most fertile soil in Europe. It was also a pioneer in environmental protection by producing cheap green electricity, because Romania has many dams and hydroelectric power plants, but many were closed due to pressure from non-governmental organizations. Romania also had a strong industry, which was deliberately destroyed by politicians after 1990, with entire companies being sold abroad at scrap prices. The most serious consequence of extreme corruption is the very serious economic and health decline, which manifests itself as follows. Because of the shady deals concluded by corrupt politicians, absolutely everything, food, oil, gas, gold, salt, uranium, forests, rare earths, and many other minerals, is exported very cheaply and re-imported very expensively. Especially the best quality food leaves Romania and returns processed, and the quality of the re-imported food is not controlled. The result: more and more people are sick. So, what can Romania do to make corruption impossible forever? Destroying corruption in Romania. First, let's talk about institutional reform. Romania needs strong, independent institutions that can function without political interference. This means ensuring the independence of the judiciary. Judges and prosecutors must be protected from all political pressures, and any attempt to undermine their work should have very serious consequences, so that corruption cannot creep back into the system. Second, transparency and digitalization are essential. By implementing advanced technologies and creating transparent, public-facing platforms for all government transactions, be it budget spending, procurement, or public services, Romania must make it impossible for corruption to thrive in the shadows again. Third, education. All generations of Romanians must henceforth be raised with a strong sense of civic responsibility and ethics. Schools, universities, and civil society must play an active role in teaching the value of integrity, democracy, and the importance of transparent governance. The more people demand clean and fair systems, the harder it becomes for corruption to continue. Finally, there must also be international cooperation between Romania and other countries and international organizations against corruption. The future of Romania, a great European power? Romania is one of the richest countries in Europe when it comes to natural resources and the power of creativity. From the vast reserves of natural gas in the Black Sea, to fertile lands, living water, rich forests, mining resources, and human potential, Romania has resources that could fuel an unprecedented economic boom. Healthy eating, technology, and innovation are key areas where Romania can lead. Romania could become a hub for sustainable agriculture, including hemp, digital transformation, and renewable energy. But to be the most powerful country in Europe, Romania will need to invest in infrastructure, modernize its agriculture and industries, and protect its domestic companies. It also needs to build an independent, honest, and transparent political and judicial system that encourages long-term planning and stability. Romania's future could see its strengths in agriculture, tourism, and industry to surpass its neighbors economically. But the critical factor will be overcoming corruption and creating a system that is not only strong, but also fair, transparent, and forward-thinking. Romania, closing thoughts. The fight against corruption and treason, which remain the biggest obstacles on the path of Romania's development, must be amplified to the maximum. But, with the right reforms and country projects, strategic investments, and the right political will, Romania has the potential to prosper, becoming one of the most powerful and respected countries in Europe and the world. Now, the question is, will Romania take the final step and escape the chains of corruption forever? We must defend our democracy, that's why we fight corruption. And never accept the central bank's digital currency, CBDC. Never accept slavery, in any form. The final fight against false democracy and corruption has begun. Join us.